First story. I canceled my daughter's birthday and told the daycare not to celebrate to honor my brother. But my entitled husband refused and celebrated, crossing his boundaries. So I demanded him to do a public apology, delete all pics of her, name our daughter after my brother, and never interfere with my parenting. Now I'm regretting it. I 29F am in a tough spot between my husband 30M and my family, and I need some perspective. I genuinely don't think I did anything wrong, but he's convinced I'm the one who needs to apologize. This all came to a head recently, but to really explain the issue, I have to start with some history. When I was 16, my younger brother, Caleb, died suddenly on his 17th birthday. It was a freak accident involving a hit and run. He was walking home from school, and the car sped off. They never caught the driver. It devastated my family. He was the youngest, the golden kid, and the one we all thought would bring something really special into the world. My parents were broken. After the funeral, they made a decision. We would no longer celebrate birthdays. At all. It was too painful. It wasn't just about grief, it became something sacred. A way to honor Caleb by not pretending birthdays were still something joyful. The thing is, our extended family took it seriously too. My aunts, uncles, cousins, and everyone agreed. Not out of fear or pressure, but respect. It was like an unspoken pact. This is how we love and remember him. I internalized that from a young age. So, no, I've never really thought about birthdays the same way others do. Fast forward to my early 20s, I meet Daniel, my now husband. We date for 2 years, then get married. Daniel comes from a completely different world. His family celebrates everything. Birthdays, promotions, new jobs, even National Pizza Day. They're loud, extroverted, and honestly a little overwhelming at times. Daniel knew early on about the birthday thing. When we were dating, I explained it to him. He thought it was strange and even called it overkill once. But I told him it was non-negotiable. He dropped it, or at least I thought he had. Our first issue cropped up when we were engaged. His mom planned a surprise birthday dinner for me, nothing huge, just a few friends and family. He knew I wouldn't want it, but he said, "It's just a small thing. Come on, you can't be this uptight." I didn't go. I stayed home and cried. My mom called that night just to talk, and I couldn't even tell her what had happened because I was so ashamed. We had a massive fight after that. I told him this wasn't just a preference. It was part of who I am and how I was raised. He said I was letting grief define my identity, and that it was unhealthy. That was a red flag in hindsight, but I thought he just didn't get it at the time. Over the years, he started to push back more. Celebrating his birthday became a point of contention. I never stopped him, because he's not blood family. But I didn't participate much either. He'd make passive-aggressive comments like, "Guess I'll celebrate with people who do care," or, "I'd love for my wife to be excited about me once a year." I tolerated it. I compartmentalized. I didn't want more fights, and I thought maybe once we had a child, he'd understand that some things matter more than cake and candles. I was wrong. Last year, I got pregnant. My parents were overjoyed. It was the first grandchild on our side. Daniel's family, too, were thrilled. During my pregnancy, everything was mostly calm, though Daniel brought up once or twice that, "We're not doing that no birthday thing with the baby, right?" I said we'd talk about it later. Then our daughter was born. Beautiful, healthy, and a total joy. She's brought so much light back into my parents' lives. My mom cried when she held her for the first time and whispered, "It's like having a piece of Caleb back." That's how important this child is to my family. Not as a replacement, obviously, but as something deeply symbolic. Now, with her first birthday coming up, my family gently reminded me that we've always honored Caleb by not celebrating birthdays. My dad said, "She won't even remember it, sweetheart. Why start something that'll only make things harder later?" My mom added, "We're not asking you to never acknowledge her life, just don't make it about dates. Let it be about growth, about moments." I agreed. It felt like the right thing to do. It's how I was raised, and I didn't see a problem with waiting until she's older to have that conversation. When I told Daniel, he lost it. He said, "You've got to be kidding me. She's my daughter too. You're letting your family dictate how we raise our child." I explained the tradition again. I told him it wasn't about control. It was about legacy, about love, about keeping Caleb's memory alive. He called it emotional blackmail. That fight lasted 2 days. He accused my parents of manipulating me, said I was brainwashed, and asked how long I planned to let a dead sibling run our lives. That was one of the worst things he's ever said to me. Still, I didn't back down. I said we could have a very small, private celebration at home, just us, and maybe his parents. No decorations, no loud party, no social media. Just a cake and some pictures for the family album. And that's it. He finally agreed, though not happily. So we did that. We had a tiny gathering in our apartment. Just Daniel, me, the baby, his parents, and one of his sisters. I thought it was fine. We took a few pictures and sang softly to her. And that was that. Low-key and respectful. Or so I thought. The next morning, I got a call from my mom. Her voice was icy. She said, "I thought we had an understanding." I was confused. Then she said she saw everything on social media. Daniel had posted a whole album. Not just one picture, 10. There was cake, balloons, and even a first birthday princess sign in the background I hadn't noticed. She said I made her and Dad look like fools for trusting me, and that I clearly chose Daniel's way over our family's values. Then she said something that gutted me. "You've erased Caleb, one photo at a time." When my mom said that, I just sat there. I didn't even know how to respond. It felt like the floor dropped out from under me. I told her I didn't know he posted anything. She said it didn't matter because the end result was the same. My dad didn't even come to the phone. That's how I knew how badly this hit them. My dad always speaks to me. Always. I hung up and immediately confronted Daniel. I wasn't yelling. I was direct. I asked him why he posted the photos when we agreed not to. He said, "I'm not hiding my daughter like some family shame. I wanted my family to see the pictures." I said he could have sent them privately. He shrugged and said, "My family doesn't do private. They share everything." I told him it made me look like a liar to my parents. That it made it seem like I said one thing to them and did another behind their backs. He said, "Maybe you should worry less about what they think and more about our child having a normal life." The way he said normal is what pissed me off. Like my family is abnormal because we grieve differently than him. I told him that was disrespectful. He responded with, "Your family needs therapy. This isn't grief, it's obsession." I told him he crossed a line. That he doesn't get to dictate how my family honors my brother. That what he did hurt people, and that the least he could do is apologize to me and to my parents for breaking the agreement. He laughed. Actually laughed. Then said, "I'm not apologizing for celebrating my own child." That's when the argument escalated. I won't repeat the exact words. But I told him that he made everything harder for no reason. That he always had resentment towards my family. And now he found a way to act on it. He told me I'm emotionally dependent on my parents and that I prioritize them over him. I told him, yes, if this is the situation, then yes, I choose my family. I choose what honors my brother. I stand by that. He said, "So your brother matters more to you than our daughter?" I said, "Don't twist it. You know what this means. It's not about choosing one person over another. It's about respecting something that is bigger than a birthday." He got silent, then said, "You verbally abused me. You screamed in my face. I want an apology." I didn't scream. I raised my voice, sure, but not like what he's claiming. He sulked for the rest of the day. Barely looked at me. Barely looked at our daughter. He packed a bag and went to stay with his parents that night. I didn't stop him because, honestly, I didn't have anything left to say. The next day, I got messages from his mom. Paragraphs. Saying I was controlling and emotionally damaging our daughter by letting my family trauma dictate celebrations. That I'm robbing her of memories. That I'm causing marital strife by worshiping my parents. She also implied my family is mentally unstable. She said all of this with a tone like she was being the reasonable one. I didn't respond. I wasn't going to entertain that. In the meantime, my family has made it clear that they're hurt, not angry in a loud way, but disappointed. That's worse. They said they still love me and my daughter, but that they won't be visiting for a while because the emotional wound is too raw. It's like there's a gap now that wasn't there before. Daniel came home 2 days later, acting like nothing happened. I asked if he thought we needed to talk. He said, "I will if you apologize." I asked, "Apologize for what?" He said, "For the way you spoke to me. For making me feel like the bad guy for wanting something normal." He still refuses to acknowledge that posting those pictures was the issue. He refuses to admit that breaking the agreement hurt me. He refuses to acknowledge the emotional meaning behind why my family does what it does. He refuses to apologize for calling my mom names. I've told him multiple times that I am not apologizing for standing by my family. I will not apologize for honoring my brother. I will not apologize for being upset when he knowingly broke a boundary we agreed on. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel confused. I am not wavering. But now he's saying he doesn't feel emotionally safe with me because I explode when things don't go my way. He told a mutual friend that I'm abusive. He's acting like I'm the irrational one. We're now sleeping in separate rooms. He barely talks to me, except to imply that I'm the problem. His family is texting him, telling him he needs to stand his ground. My family told me they love me and they're here. But I can tell they're also watching carefully to see what I do next. And I'm not moving. I made my decision. I'm not apologizing. I'm not bending. This is the part where most people would say, I feel torn, or I don't know what to do. But I do know. I chose my family. I chose the promise we made about birthdays. I'm not letting him guilt me out of that. If he wants to be angry, he can be angry. If he wants to feel wronged, he can feel wrong. I am not changing my position. So here it is, plain. He posted the photos knowing what it meant. He broke a boundary we agreed on. He hurt my relationship with my parents. He disrespected my brother's memory. And now he wants me to apologize because he didn't like how I reacted. I don't think I owe him anything. AITA? Comments. Comment 1. OP. I'm going to say this with love. You're deep in denial. Like Mariana Trench levels. You're acting like your family's tradition is sacred law. But it's a coping mechanism that turned into a dogma. I get that losing your brother was traumatic, truly, I do. But you're weaponizing that trauma now, even if you don't see it. Your kid is not a symbol. She's not a vessel for family healing. She's a person. And her first birthday is about her, not Caleb. You keep saying your loyalty is to your blood family, but your daughter is your blood. And your husband? You married him. You made a new family. You're still operating like you're a daughter first and a wife mother second. That's the core issue here. And I hate to say it, but your parents are guilt-tripping the hell out of you. You've erased Caleb? Are you kidding me? Over a cake and a balloon? That's emotional blackmail. Full stop. They've built their entire identity around loss, and now they expect the next generation to carry that grief like some twisted heirloom. Your husband is no angel. Either he's petty and self-serving for posting when you asked him not to. But I get why he did it. He's sick of living like he married into a grief cult. You need therapy. Not Reddit. Not votes. Actual therapy. Individually and as a couple. Because right now, you are the YTA to your husband, to your daughter, and low-key to yourself too. Comment 2. Jesus Christ on a Triscuit. This is F-Ed. Your whole family made a rule that birthdays are canceled forever. Forever. What kind of emotional hostage situation is this? Look, I'm all for mourning someone who died tragically young. That's horrible. But canceling the concept of celebrating life for multiple generations because of one death. That's cult behavior, not grief. Your husband didn't betray you. He celebrated his daughter. Your daughter. The one you both made. And you told him to hide it. To act like his own child's first birthday was something shameful. I'm shocked he agreed to that at all. Honestly, props to him for posting the pics. He probably snapped after years of biting his tongue while watching you run all your major decisions through your mom and dad like you're still 15. And let's talk about the emotional damage you're setting up for your kid. You really think this is the last time she's going to be told she can't celebrate because your uncle died before you were born? Wait until she starts school and has to tell her friends she's not allowed to have a party. Watch how fast that turns into resentment. Your parents need therapy. You need boundaries. And your husband deserves a partner who doesn't treat him like a guest in his own family. And yeah, you do owe him an apology. Not for blowing up, but for pretending this was a fair compromise to begin with. Update. Hey again. I didn't expect the original post to blow up the way it did. I didn't reply to most comments because honestly, a lot of them were attacking my family and calling my brother's memory a trauma cult, which I won't tolerate. But for those asking for an update, here it is. A lot has happened in just under 2 weeks. The week after the birthday incident, things got worse. Our daughter's daycare held a group celebration for the kids turning 1 that month. Parents were encouraged to send cupcakes or small snacks and come in for a 30-minute circle time. Daniel brought home the flyer from her cubby and was excited, finally smiling for the first time since the fight. He said he wanted to take cupcakes in and be the one to attend with her. I said no. I told him it was still a birthday celebration, and we couldn't participate without being hypocrites. He asked, hypocrites to whom? Your dead brother. That was the last straw for me. I calmly told the daycare our daughter wouldn't participate in the celebration due to personal family beliefs, and she would be picked up early that day. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Daniel came home furious that evening. Apparently, one of the other parents posted photos from the party, and when he didn't see our daughter in any of them, he realized what I'd done. He told me I crossed a line, that I made a unilateral parenting decision and intentionally excluded our daughter from a normal experience just to stick to my family's rules. I told him this isn't about exclusion. It's about consistency. You can't selectively honor the tradition when it's convenient. Either we respect Caleb's legacy, or we don't. That's when he said, "You're not raising our daughter. Your dead brother is." He slept on the couch that night. I texted my mom the next morning to let her know what happened, and within hours, she and my dad were at the apartment. They said the household was fractured and needed alignment. Their proposal: Daniel must delete every photo he posted of the birthday. He must publicly apologize on his social media to the family and acknowledge that he acted selfishly and disrespectfully. The apology must mention Caleb by name and affirm that, going forward, celebrations will honor his memory and refrain from birthdays. We must hold a mourning circle with the family to reflect on Caleb's life and recommit to the tradition. Our daughter is to be renamed with Caleb's middle name as a tribute. Not legally, but symbolically. As in Sofreta. Within the family, she'll be known as Leela Caleb last name. Lastly, for 30 days, until Daniel complies, he is to be excluded from household culture. Meaning, no one speaks to him, acknowledges him, or refers to him by name. He is to be treated as unseen to show him the weight of violating family trust. I told Daniel the plan. He laughed in disbelief at first. Then when he realized I was serious, he said, "You've lost your goddamn mind." I told him it was a fair compromise, that he'd already disrespected our family's emotional boundaries, and this was a way to rebuild trust. He refused. He said he wasn't doing a performative apology and wasn't going to be erased in his own home. My parents told me that if he didn't accept the consequences, it showed he was unwilling to be part of the family long term. So, I did what I thought was best. I agreed to implement the 30-day exclusion. For the last 4 days, I haven't spoken to Daniel. I don't address him. I don't respond when he talks. My family stopped acknowledging him too. When my mom drops off food or visits, she says hello to me and our daughter and walks right past him. He tried to talk to her once, and she just looked past him like he wasn't there. Daniel started packing his stuff Thursday night. I didn't stop him. He said, "You chose them over me again. You're going to raise this child in a grief cult, and I'm not going to let you drag her down with you." He left early Friday morning with our daughter. He didn't say where he was going. I assumed he went to his parents, but I didn't hear anything until that evening, when his sister sent me a text saying the baby is safe, and that Daniel would be in touch through legal channels. I haven't seen or spoken to either of them since. I told my parents. My mom broke down crying and said, "This is what happens when you let the wrong people in your bloodline." My dad said if Daniel tries to seek custody or court intervention, they'll back me fully and make sure the family's traditions are documented as emotional heritage, whatever that means. Right now, I'm staying in our apartment alone. I don't know what Daniel's next move is. He hasn't blocked me, but I haven't tried to contact him either. My family says I shouldn't. He left, not me. If he wants to apologize and return, the door's open, if he respects the conditions. To be clear, I'm not giving up my family. I'm not betraying the memory of my brother, so my husband can have Instagram moments. My daughter will grow up knowing who Caleb was. And yes, that means some sacrifices. But honoring the dead should never come second to entertaining the living. I'm not wavering. But things have definitely escalated in a way I didn't expect. Comments. Comment 1. I'm not even going to focus on your husband or your parents. I'm focusing on your daughter. Because she is the only person here with no voice, no context, no memory of your brother, and no ability to understand why she's losing things that every single other child around her is allowed to have. You are not honoring Caleb. You are transferring your family's unresolved trauma into the next generation. You say this is about memory and love. But children don't understand symbolic grief language. They understand experience. So what she's learning is, birthdays are dangerous. Joy must be quarantined. Her existence is something to be muted and hidden. And you didn't just block a daycare cupcake party. You normalized shame as part of her identity development. Your family didn't heal from grief, they froze in time. And you are now enforcing that freeze on a child who didn't ask for it. Your husband taking your daughter is the first sane parenting act in this entire story. I don't think you're evil. I think you've been raised to believe that suffering equals loyalty, and that joy equals betrayal. But your daughter deserves to be a person, not a memorial extension. You need therapy. Not as an insult. This is childhood trauma conditioning. And right now, he shouldn't bring her back until a court orders parenting terms. Comment 2. Daniel didn't storm off. He rescued your kid. Your parents rolled up with a whole arse cult punishment protocol, and your reaction was, yes, this is reasonable. Let's emotionally ghost the father of my child for a month, like he's a stray dog we want to break. Do you hear yourself? The 30-day silent treatment thing is abuse. That's what abusive spouses do to isolate and control their partner. Your parents suggested it because they know once your husband bends even once, he'll never push back on your family again. And the part you really don't seem to get. If you go to court over custody, the judge is going to see all of this. You admitted in writing that you deny your child normal social development to appease your parents. You admitted to enforcing a psychological punishment system in your home. You admitted that your family wants to rename your kid after your dead brother, like she's a placeholder grief doll. A judge is going to hand your husband primary custody so fast the ink will smoke. I'm not sugarcoating it. Your family doesn't honor your brother. Your family feeds on the grief like it's their personality. And you are now offering your child up to that same grief altar. Your husband did the only rational thing. And unless you snap out of this, he shouldn't bring her back. Update. I debated for months whether to write this. I don't know if anyone from the original thread is still around, but enough people told me things I refused to hear back then. And now I understand every single one of them with painful clarity. A lot has changed. None of it is good. All of it earned. After Daniel left with our daughter, I went to the police station to file a report. I walked in fully believing they would help me. I told them Daniel had taken our daughter from the home. The officer asked one question. Is he listed on the birth certificate? I said yes. That was the end of that. I remember the officer's exact tone when he said, "Ma'am, he's the father. He didn't abduct her." I felt something crack then, but I didn't let myself think about it. My parents, of course, didn't let the matter rest quietly. They launched what I now recognize was a smear campaign online. Vague posts about dishonor, disrespect, betraying the dead, and losing one child and now losing another. Family members on my side commented crying emojis and prayers. I reshared some of them. I thought I was being loyal. Daniel's family responded. One of his sisters finally posted directly. You didn't lose another child. You forced your daughter to live in a mausoleum, and when her father protected her, you called it betrayal. I remember reading that and feeling physically nauseous. Not because I agreed, but because a part of me recognized it. But I kept pushing it down. Then came the custody filings. Daniel's petition was blunt and detailed. He included the daycare incident, the social media apology demand, the proposed mourning circle, the silent treatment ghosting protocol, screenshots of texts from my family saying my daughter needed to carry Caleb's memory, a statement from his therapist describing the situation as intergenerational grief coercion. The court took it extremely seriously. I hired a lawyer. My parents paid for it. They attended every meeting, spoke over me in every consultation, and insisted on protecting family honor. My attorney kept looking at me like she was waiting for me to show up in the conversation, but I never did. At the temporary hearing, the judge asked me one question. Can you acknowledge that your daughter is entitled to form her own identity separate from your brother's memory? I said something rehearsed about legacy and emotional continuity. I sounded like a brochure for a grief cult, which, in hindsight, I was. Supervised visitation was ordered that day. The first time I saw my daughter at the visitation center, she was laughing at Daniel's sister, holding a stuffed giraffe. I sat in a room with a caseworker watching every move I made. When I tried to hold her, she reached back for Daniel's sister. That moment did something to me that nothing else had done up to that point. It forced silence. Real silence. Not the self-righteous kind I had been practicing. After the hearing, my parents wanted to appeal. They wanted to fight for our bloodline and prove the court was manipulated. They wanted to call expert witnesses about grief rituals. They said Daniel was brainwashing my daughter. For the first time in my life, I saw them from the outside. They weren't grieving. They were preserving grief as identity. I realized I had never made a single major life decision without filtering it through what would or would not honor Caleb. I realized I had never allowed myself to be a full person. I went home and blocked both of my parents' numbers. Then I blocked the extended family. Then I stopped answering the door. I walked away. Cutting them off didn't immediately fix anything. I didn't suddenly become stable or enlightened. I just became quiet, empty. For months, I was just a person-shaped outline trying to figure out how to exist without someone else's grief defining me. I had to learn how to cook without calling my mom, how to sit alone in a room without hearing their voices about loyalty, how to think without asking permission. During this time, Daniel filed for divorce. I didn't fight it. I signed everything presented to me. The final custody ruling kept supervised visitation, citing emotional instability and enmeshment patterns. Daniel didn't speak to me beyond what was necessary for visitation scheduling. He didn't look angry anymore, just done. I hate that most of all. Not the custody. Not the divorce. The look of someone who tried, was pushed out, and finally accepted that nothing could have changed it. I think I do love him. I think I always did. I think I just didn't know what love was supposed to look like when I was raised to believe love equals sacrifice of self. He didn't give up on me. I pushed him until he had to leave to protect our daughter. I want to be clear. I am not mentally ill. Not in the clinical sense. I've been evaluated. I don't have psychosis, delusions, or anything like that. I was just raised inside something that rewired how I thought relationships worked. I was loyal to a structure that taught me love equals compliance. And I thought that compliance would be required of my daughter. I see the damage now. It's not pretty. It's not poetic. It's just devastating. I get 2 hours twice a week with her at the center. Sometimes she reaches for me now. Sometimes she babbles and sits in my lap. Sometimes she doesn't want to leave when the time is up. Sometimes she does. I don't have clarity. I don't have a life plan. I don't have redemption or closure or healing arc language for you. I don't know who I am without my family system. I don't know how to date or how to parent fully or how to trust myself. All I know is leaving my family was the right decision. And I regret that I realized it 8 years into a marriage instead of 8 months into one. I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me. I dug the hole myself. And now I'm in it. Alone. Comments. Comment 1. I lost custody for a while too, not for abuse or drugs, but because I couldn't separate myself from toxic family expectations. Reading this brought back that same sinking gut feeling. The part where your daughter didn't recognize you. That's a effing dagger to the chest. Been there. What hit me hardest was you admitting that love was taught to you as compliance. That's generational trauma in its rawest form. I was raised by a father who thought obedience equals love, and I passed that on until someone took my kid away and held up a mirror. Sometimes it takes losing everything before you see it. No one's going to hand you a trophy for waking up. But I will say this. Walking away from the family system that raised you is harder than divorce. It's identity self-harm. You're not a hero for doing it, but you are finally a person now. Keep showing up for your daughter. She's not lost to you forever. Comment 2. Everyone's talking about your growth. And yeah, sure, it's good that you see it now. But I want to talk about Daniel. That man endured years of being gaslit in his own home. A literal mourning circle to erase his daughter's birthday. Social media exile. The whole damn family treating him like a ghost in his own house. And he still stayed until the only option left was to physically take his child and run. That wasn't some rage quit. That was survival. People like Daniel are rare men who fight for fatherhood. He didn't take the easy way out. He didn't disappear. He documented, protected, and parented through legal means when everything else failed. And you're right, he didn't give up. He got pushed out. I hope one day he tells your daughter that. Not to alienate her, but so she knows her father was never the villain. He was the firewall. Comment 3. This was tough to read. You sound like someone just crawling out of a fog after years of spiritual indoctrination. And no, I don't mean that in a religious sense. What your family did ritualizing grief, policing joy, and enforcing silence is exactly how authoritarian religious groups operate. I grew up in a sect where we weren't allowed to celebrate birthdays either. We weren't mourning anyone. We were just told birthdays were vanity. Same result, though, shame if you smiled too hard. The real trick they pull is convincing you it's your duty to pass the trauma forward. That compliance is purity. That breaking away is betrayal. You escaped. Barely. But don't fool yourself, it's going to take years to detox from that mindset. There's no quick, I'm better now. It's a process. Grief cults don't leave you with bruises. They leave you with instincts that are hard to unlearn. You're not evil. You were indoctrinated. Just don't go back. Not even in your head. Second story. I broke up with my girlfriend after she cheated with her boss. She played the victim online. I let it go. Then she made false accusations about me, so I set the record straight. Now her affair partner threw her under the bus to save his job. She lost her job and car and is getting harassed. Now she's demanding I take my post down. But I couldn't give an SHT about her. I was with my ex-K for 2 years and living together for a year. To make all the drama short, I found out she had been having a 6-month affair with her boss. I found out about it and broke up with her on the spot. K didn't even try to justify or deny and just moved out. But here comes the main thing on all this mess. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that she would bring up our breakup on IG. But she did, with the classic BS of me holding her back, a bright future waiting for her, and all this type of stuff. But here comes my part, because the one thing that made me mad as hell is one of her posts when she said that I was abusing her emotionally and physically. I have a special spot on this because I volunteer in one of those abused women's centers, and I provide housing for real victims of abuse. It's a long story about a female friend of mine who died because of her ex. And that thing particularly touched me, and it was the main reason why I'm volunteering. So you can imagine the rage and anger I felt when she posted about this fake BS. So I simply made a post on my IG page with the proofs of her cheating and tagged her directly. Well, the part I wasn't expecting comes now because, to me, for no reason, it's like IG decided to make my post go viral in our community. And the internet rage started under her posts. I was expecting maybe someone calling her out and nothing more. But the consequences hit her harder than I could expect, because in just 2 weeks her profile is full of people calling her every possible name in the book. People wishing her the worst stuff and all these things. But K, being K, instead of doing what normal people would do, doubled down and got even more hate and worse stuff than I thought was possible. But the cherry on top was the fact that she is now on administrative leave, because apparently her boss tried to throw her under the bus to save his job, and mostly because her jobs page became flooded with not-so-kind comments about her, from the classic "fire her" to stuff I can't say here. And the most insane thing happened 3 days ago, because her car has been smashed by someone. Not me, obviously, because I have better stuff to do than worry about a cheating ex. And even her own family started to get harassed by people on their socials. And yesterday, she wrote me from a new number asking me to delete my post, because she couldn't keep up anymore with people insulting her on every post she makes. And the job thing was the last straw. Honestly, I wasn't expecting all this mess. And of course some people crossed a line with her car, her family, and her job. But you know what? I don't feel bad for her at all. I mean, she knew about my spot for abused women and tried to paint me as a villain by accusing me of stuff she knew exactly how I feel about. So maybe it's because it's all still fresh. But I don't feel bad for her and have no intention to take down my post, which actually gained me 50K followers out of nowhere. So AITA for refusing to take my post down and letting her face the consequences of her cheating. Comments. Comment 1. Ask her to post a retraction and apology to you on her social media. She made false statements that would threaten your job and reputation. So until you get at least that effort. She made her bed. She can lie in it. Comment 2. You don't owe her anything. If you want to be nice, take it down. But not if she's just going to lie about you again. She can certainly just delete her social media and not deal with any of this anymore. That's probably the best idea for her now. If you want to work with her, I would say you can take your post down, since it's already done its job. But she needs to make a post admitting that she lied about you. If she's going to tarnish your rep, she has to be the one to clear it before you take your post down. NTA. Comment 3. False abuse allegations against you. No, man. That's a really low blow on her end. And you were 100% right to call out her BS. This 100% had the possibility of affecting your volunteer position and the good you're trying to do. And she literally stepped on your own trauma without any regard for you. You set the record straight. That's all you wanted. The rest of it is karma. If she had left it well enough alone, none of this would have happened. She just happened to say the wrong things about the wrong guy and got exactly what she deserved. Update. Here is the update on how things ended up. And I really hope to post again about more funny and better stuff than all this drama. In the last post, I talked about my ex texting me to delete the post and end all this charade. And at the end, we came to an agreement. The agreement is extremely simple. She makes a public post on her IG page in which she honestly tells the truth about how our relationship ended and takes full accountability for her false allegations. And then and only then do I take down my post. 3 days ago she agreed. And she did actually. Under that post she got more hate than before. But that's not my problem, and I did the same. About all this mess, I have to say that in these last 2 days after her apology post, like I call it, the situation has calmed down pretty naturally. But she still receives hate and death threats. On this part, I have to say that before deleting my post, I made it clear that insulting my ex and wishing her death wasn't normal. So to please stop all this charade and respect her apologies. So until now, her profile passed from 2K comments to almost 500. And like I said, almost all are not exactly kind. But the situation is going better. And I think it's because people got tired of this drama and simply moved on to another one. In the last post, someone talked about a lawsuit for defamation. And you're absolutely right. But I just didn't have any intention or energy for something. I just wanted to make it disappear faster than I could. And for the last point, someone asked me if I resented her for all of this mess. But actually I don't. What I feel for her is just pity and disappointment. The internet rage did the rest. Disappointment. Even if I don't approve, obviously, of the death threats and all the extreme parts. So that's it. And I really hope to not update you anymore on all this mess. Comments. Comment 1. Still NTA. It seems like she got what was coming to her. Minus the death threats, of course. Those should never happen. It seems like accountability is like kryptonite with her. She only did the right thing when she had no other choice. I wish there was a way we could see this stuff when we meet them, so we could avoid the toxicity. I am sure you would have never in a million years guessed she would have done what she did. Please keep us updated about her boss and her job situation. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Hopefully, you can put this stuff behind you and move forward. Good luck. Comment 2. You made the smart move with what you did. What she is currently going through is nothing compared to what you would have been through if she continued with her lies. If it took this point for her to take responsibility, then she deserves no sympathies or even pity at all. Maybe she could learn from this, but it all depends on her. Comment 3. Does anyone else think that the ex-girlfriend is a huge moron because she could have just stayed quiet and avoided all of this? She went and tried to defame an ex-boyfriend for no reason, really. OP. You got my point. I still don't get why all of this happened since we broke up and everyone went their way. But she had to make it all public and be the victim for some reasons. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.